A lot of people are hiring vertical videographers now because, let's face it, Reels can get way more views in shorter amounts of time. So they're hiring videographers to make batches of videos for them, and a lot of them require aesthetically pleasing videography and effects, and this is where we're gonna get started. Hello everyone, my name is Ishbin Brian, and you're probably watching this video because you saw a bunch of viral reels recently that Evanblummadeit brought to our attention. He's definitely dominating the space, and I wanted to learn how to create these. So this is my way of interpreting his amazing videos. I'm going to show you how I think he creates these amazing reels and some of the beginner effects that he uses. And then in a part 2, we'll get a little bit more advanced because these things are not exactly as easy as you think to create. If you like what you see, please comment, like, subscribe, and we're going to keep learning these things together. So the first thing you need to do is, of course, film your subject with vertical video. You can use a phone or even a gimbal that's rotated vertically. That's where the videography comes in. Now we're going to shoot our subject, and I'm going to try to keep them in frame the entire time. So the first thing you're going to want to do is bring your footage into Adobe Premiere, because we're going to be using Premiere and After Effects simultaneously. So we want to start in Premiere and bring our footage into After Effects. So once your footage is in the timeline, I like to make a duplicate of it by holding down Alt and dragging it up. That way, in case something goes wrong, we have the original file underneath. With that duplicated file, we're going to right click it and go ahead and hit replace with After Effects composition. And what this is going to do is going to send the footage to After Effects. So once we're in After Effects, we're going to rename our footage to original. So once your footage is ready to go, if you want to start tracking your subject's face, you're going to go over on the tracker window here. If you don't see it, you can go to window, scroll down to tracker, and make sure it's checked. And then you should be able to see the tracker over here. So once your footage is selected, go to your tracker and hit stabilize motion. What that's going to do is create a little track point here, and if I grab it, I can move it to something that I want to track. And in my case, I might just want to track one of her nostrils here. Tends to lock on to these a little bit easier than larger spaces, so I'm gonna go like this, and then the little box, I'm just gonna go around her nostril. The bigger box, I'm gonna go around kind of her nose too. And then if we want to start tracking that, we can hit the play analyze forward button over here, and you can watch it. Oh, see how she moved? We had some motion blur, so we lost the track, but everything before that was tracked. So if I scroll back, you can see this was all tracked nicely, but then we lost it about here on this point. So what you can do is manually track it. Actually, that's accurate because she's moving, but now we lost it here. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up and just track that nostril manually until that motion blur is gone. And one by one, what I'm doing is I'm moving one frame and then moving that plus sign in the middle to follow her nostril. You can choose any different facial features if you want. You can follow an eye, you can follow a mouth, you name it, but I've had success with a nostril. And if you see the motion blur start to slow down, continue tracking with the play button. So from where we are now, if I hit play again, we're still tracking, very nice. You can see the plus sign following. You can stop again if you need to adjust your frame. I'm gonna hit play again. There we go. Basically, I'm waiting till, there we go, till we lose it. And then we just lost it there, and then I'm gonna hit stop. So then we're gonna scrub through the timeline. I'm gonna go back. You can kind of see at what point your track gets lost. As you can see, this jumps up, but these are pretty good until there. So then I'm gonna follow it back down until we lose that motion blur again. And not everyone will have this much motion blur. Just depending on how you shoot this will determine the motion blur. I have it on the nostril again. I'm gonna hit play. So yeah, just keep following your subject like this, and when you're done, we'll reconnect. Here's a time lapse of the process. So once we have that first track down, here is our artist here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and go over to the apply button under tracker, and then make sure dimensions are X and Y. So if we go back here, if I hit play, it should follow her face, but from a distance. See that? And you can see the edges of the video kind of breaking, so you're seeing a lot of the black. But it is tracking her face. So if I were to zoom in with the scale, if I go to my footage, hit the little drop down, go to transform, and let's go ahead and zoom in and position her into the center of the frame. Now we could track her face closer. So if you just hit play, look at that. It follows it nicely. So that was the first step, which is tracking our subject's face. I'm not liking these edges here, so what we're gonna do is add a motion tiler. We're gonna get rid of them and make the footage seem a little bit wider than it actually is. So if you go to effects and presets on the right side, go to motion, tile, it's under stylize. If you're looking for the folder, bring motion tile and drop it onto our footage. Nothing happens. That's because under our effects controls on the top left here, you want to change output width to 300 and output height to 300. So now those edges should turn into kind of mirrored footage. Well, you can kind of see it. Here's like the edges of the footage. So we can play around with different things here. It doesn't look smooth. So if you look here, there's just an abrupt line. So we do need to change mirror edges. Check the box. Now it'll mirror her on the edges nice and clean. You can go ahead and mess with different things like phase. Feel free to play around with these different options here to adjust your mirrors. Let's say I wanted to start this further out and then come in right when she turns her head there. So I'm gonna go to my transform, keyframe on the scale and position there, and then bring my scale back. And at the beginning, I'm gonna have her start like pretty far out and adjust it here. So if I play that back now, we zoom in at the beginning. See, I could even do an either further zoom. If I hold down shift, scale it down, you can see all the different mirrors. So if I hit play, it's like we're coming into the frame. Only if you wanted to do that, of course. And make sure if you want your keyframes to ease into these different positions, just drag them all, right click, go to keyframe assistant, easy ease. So this will actually ease your keyframes and see how smooth they are. Very nice. So now throughout the video, if I wanted to pull out at all, so maybe when she looks down, I want to go back out, I just set my keyframes over here on the left under position scale, and then drag to the right a little bit. When she looks down, I want to do a little bit of a zoom out and adjust my position like this. So let's see it. And back out. So you can do different things like that throughout the whole video. So let's skip to the fun part. Now that we have our face tracked and we have our zoom in and outs and our motion tile set, we're gonna go back into Premiere and we're gonna mess around with some effects in there. So if I go to our Premiere project, you can see that our After Effects layer is still here. You might wanna pre-render this before. So I'm gonna set my in and out with the I key and then hold down shift and drag and hit the O key for out. So this is gonna set her in and out, so we're just working with this section. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and add a adjustment layer. All you gotta do is go down to your media bin, hit the little new item, or add an adjustment layer, however you prefer, and then go to adjustment layer. And I'm gonna drag that on top of this footage. So far nothing's happened, but this is where the fun can start. So this is where you can start being creative and do all these different effects that you want to do. So the first effect we're going to add is going to be under effects. We're going to type in digital. And it's going to be under video effects, immersive video, VR digital glitch. You're going to drag and drop that onto your adjustment layer. And it's not going to look exactly pleasant yet, but we're going to make it look clean. So under your effects controls on the left side, you're going to go ahead and drop down your distortion subfolder here, and we're going to change a few things. So geometry should be 0. Distortion, we're going to change to about 1. Distortion rate, we're going to change to 0. Just so you're aware that 1 is distortion complexity, and then your distortion rate is 0, and your color evolution is going to be 330. You can mess around with those until you get the color of your liking, but I just like to copy and paste the same digital glitch a few times, so it really distorts our image. And you can see she's kind of blurry here, and that's what I wanted. So now, let's say I only want this to appear when I punch into her face. So I'm going to set my adjustment layer to only appear when her face is pulling forward. I want her face to be the center of attention and have the edges blurred. So I'm going to go over here and hit the opacity under effects controls on the adjustment layer, go to the ellipse mask, and it just created an ellipse. So I'm going to draw where I would want some of that distortion to be. And right now it's all in the center, so we're going to invert that so that the edges now will be distorted. So this is entirely up to you how much distortion you want or what effects you want, but this is just one of the effects that is doable with this. And then if you click adjustment layer, make sure your mask does have a good amount of feather, so it just blends those colors instead of just sharply creates the RGB fall off. You can always go back in and fine tune these VR glitches. If you want to adjust the movement again, since I have this connected to After Effects, I would just go back into After Effects and mess around with your keyframes some more of where you want this movement to be. Thanks for watching my video, everyone. If you like what you saw, please comment, like, subscribe, hit the little bell thing so I know to keep making these videos, and let's learn together.